From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hey folks, good morning. Happy Monday here. James Azar for your daily practitioner brief here on the CyberHub podcast. If you haven't subscribed to our podcast, please make sure to do so now. Veteran November is in full effect, folks. We are into episode number 8 of this month. Veterans Day is Wednesday, and I'll have a very, very special episode on Wednesday for Veterans Day. In fact, our practitioner brief will be dedicated completely to our veterans and my veteran peers, brothers and sisters who served in our armed services. Again, with everything going on, we're not going to get into any of that this week. We're going to stay focused on the message of cybersecurity and veterans, and we'll let the dust settle, and where it lands is where it lands. So let's get right into today's practitioner brief. You can get our practitioner brief on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com, where you can find all the information you need. And now, without further ado, let's get into today's headlines and what we've got coming up today. As a CISO. One, a very interesting news story coming out of the FBI over the weekend, where hackers stole source code from U.S. government agencies and private companies. The Gitpaste-12 worm is targeting Linux server and IoT devices. Apple patches a bug tied to a previously identified zero-day, and the U.S. seizes $1 billion worth of bitcoins that are connected to Silk Road. Now let's get right into where the FBI has sent out a security alert warning that threat actors are abusing misconfigured SonarQube applications to access and steal source code repositories from U.S. government agencies and private businesses. Intrusions have taken place since at least April of 2020. The FBI said in an alert that they sent out last month and made public this week on its website. The alert specifically warns owners of SonarQube, a web-based application that companies integrate into software build chains to test source code and discover security flaws before rolling out code and applications into production environments. SonarQube apps are installed on web servers and connected to source code hosting systems like Bitbucket, GitHub, GitLab, or Azure DevOps systems. But the FBI says some companies have left their systems unprotected, running all default configuration, port 9000 with default admin credentials. The so dangerous admin username password. FBI says that they've seen 2 cases in which this has happened, and are urging everyone to take a series of steps to protect their SonarQube servers, starting with altering the app's default configurations and credentials, and then using firewall to prevent unauthorized access to the app from unauthorized users. Gitpaste-12 worm targets Linux server and IoT devices. Researchers have uncovered a new worm targeting Linux-based x86 servers, as well as Linux Internet of Things devices. These are based on ARM or MIPS CPU, folks. Of note, the malware utilizes GitHub and Pastebin for housing malicious component code and has at least 12 different attack modules available. Leading researchers to call it the Gitpaste-12. It was first detected by the Juniper Threat Labs in attacks on October 15th. In the blog post by Juniper, they say no malware is good to have, but worms are particularly annoying. Their ability to spread in an automated fashion can lead to lateral spread within an organization and to your host attempting to infect other networks across the internet. The first phase of the attack is initial system compromise. The malware will attempt to use known exploits for these flaws to compromise systems, and may also attempt to brute force passwords, although researchers say the first is more common than the latter. The script sets up a cron job, and it downloads that from Pastebin. The cron job is a time-based job scheduler in a Unix-like computer operating systems. The cron job calls a script and executes it again each minute. Researchers believe that this script is presumably one mechanism by which updates can be pushed to this specific botnet. It then downloads a script from GitHub and executes it. The script contains comments in the Chinese language, has multiple commands available to attackers to disable different security capabilities. These include stripping the system's defenses, including firewall rules, Selenex, AppArmor, and as well as common attack prevention and monitoring software. The malware also has some commands that disable cloud security agents, which clearly indicate that the threat actor intends to target public cloud computing infrastructures provided by Alibaba Cloud and Tencent. Gitpaste also features commands allowing it to run a crypto miner that targets the Monero cryptocurrency. Finally, the malware also contains a library that is loaded as ld_preload, which downloads and executes pastebin files that host further malicious code. Very interesting, obviously coming out of China based on the comments, something to pay attention to and start planning ahead of. Again, good controls is one thing, good monitoring is another one. Not allowing alert fatigue to be a thing in our SOCs or our fusion centers is also critical. For those of you that own Apple devices, Apple has patched a bug tied to an identified 0 day. Apple released iOS 14.2. Which patch a total of 24 different vulnerabilities, including 3 that have already been exploited in the wild in various components of the OSCS, including audio, crash reporter, kernel, and foundation release notes. So make sure you update your Apple devices. This is attributed to CVE's 2022-79er50, CVE 2022-79er32. So make sure you update that. And in great news, good news, $1 billion in bitcoins associated with Silk Road have been seized by the United States Department of Justice. The seize, done on November 3rd, is the largest seizure of cryptocurrency in DOJ history. We all know Silk Road, and so there's no need to talk about that specifically. The complaint states that the marketplace that used these bitcoins are essentially criminal, and they have thus taken that money. And so $1 billion goes into the Department of Justice's account in bitcoins, of which hopefully will be used to continue to fuel their work in catching these cyber criminals. That's it for our podcast today, for our Practitioner Brief today. Make sure you subscribe. 2 o'clock today, another great Veteran November episode today with Arvin Varma. This week is going to be awesome. I got Dutch Schwartz coming up tomorrow, Gary Hayslip on Wednesday, and so many great other names coming through, folks. So you don't want to miss that. So just make sure you tune in to those and support and thank our veterans in the comments below and sending them a message on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever you find them, and just say thank you for your service. It means a lot to these men and women when they just get that simple thank you from strangers. Hear about their stories. They're very inspirational. This has been all over the place. I've been really inspired by doing this series, and it will be something that we'll do every single November going forward, and I hope to adopt more partners to come on board so we can put out more content. Our library can be found at Veteran November on YouTube or in any one of our podcasts, including CISO Talk and this one you're listening to right now. That's it for us here today, folks. We'll be back with a lot more tomorrow. Until then, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. Stay healthy and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite listening platform.